Not every day do we come across a double homicide from the same family breaking headlines, especially homicides that have a strong link to a very famous family of lawyers from the Lowcountry region of South Carolina. If you were wondering who we are referring to, yes, we truly are talking about the Murdaugh family. Are you ready to uncover the scary truth about the Murdaugh family murders? Join us as we dive deep into the investigation and discover the most suspicious findings the police have uncovered so far with regard to the death of the son and wife of Alex Murdaugh. A mother and her son were found shot dead on their Lowcountry property after her husband called 911 to report it. Paul Murdaugh, age 22, and Maggie Murdaugh, age 52, were breaking headlines all over the news as they came from quite a famous family. Little did anyone know that investigating these deaths would open up the truth about the deaths of a few other individuals, including Stephen Smith, Gloria Satterfield, and Mallory Beach's murders in 2015, 2018, and 2019, respectively. But before we get into the gruesome details of the murders, let us look into the Murdaugh family. The family members of Murdaugh served as the South Carolina 14th Century Circuit Solicitor, and the top prosecutor for counties such as Beaufort, Jasper, Hampton, Allendale, and Colton. This dynasty of theirs was started a century back in 1920 and went on until 2005. But a decade later in 2015, Stephen Smith, a 19-year-old friend of Alex Murdaugh's son, died. It was ruled out as a hit-and-run case, but was it truly just that? During the investigation of Alex Murdaugh, the investigation into Stephen Smith's death was also looked into, and links to his son being involved in the murder have arisen. Alex's son, Richard Alexander Jr., was called Buster by everyone. He seemed to have been in love with Stephen. When that didn't go his way, he decided to go ahead and end Stephen's life in an unnatural way. 3 years after this, their family housekeeper and nanny, Gloria Satterfield, age 57, who served the Murdaughs for more than 2 decades, falls and dies at the residence on Mossell Road in Colton County. Alex promised her family compensation for their loss, but they never really got it. Paul Terry, the other son of Alex Murdaugh, was caught in the investigation of another death in that same vicinity. Mallory Beach, age 19, went missing after a boat crash that took place near Paris Island. Her body was later found near a marsh. On investigating her death, the involvement of Paul was stated. In fact, the lawsuit that followed included Richard Alexander Murdaugh Sr., Richard Alexander Murdaugh Jr., and Parker's Convenience Store as those responsible for this murder. All the Murdaughs involved in this case pleaded not guilty to all charges. They could have gotten away if they played smart, but then Alex Murdaugh ended up being in another crime site in which his son and wife were found shot dead on his hunting estate. On the 7th of June, Alex's son Paul and his wife Maggie were found dead on their 1,770-acre hunting lodge on Mossell Road. The call to the police was made by Alex at 10:07 p.m. that night. South Carolina's State Law Enforcement Division was contacted at 10:28 p.m. that night, and by 11:47 p.m., the agents from SLED were all over the place. According to the post-mortem of the deceased, they died on the 7th of June, sometime between 9 and 9:30 p.m. that night. On further looking into the double homicide, it was discovered that they were heavily redacted documents that showcased ties to the death of Stephen Smith. By July 7th, the investigation took a whole new turn, when the attorneys of Mallory Beach decided to open up and tell everyone how law enforcement tried to shift the blame from Paul Murdaugh to Connor Cook. Their investigation revealed quite a lot of brutal details, but Alex managed to get away from it. Then, on the 2nd of September 2021, a suspicious check was found on his desk, leading many to believe he was bribing the authorities. Not so long after this bit of information was revealed, he was forced to resign after he was confronted. Apart from his resignation, he also had his law license suspended just a few days after his resignation. Right after this, he was shot in the head. It was later found out that he had staged this to secure his son a $10 million life insurance policy. Alex was then sent to rehab after it was found out that Murdaugh battled opioid addiction for 20 years. While Alex was trying to calm things down by going to rehab, his drug dealer, Curtis Edward Smith, age 61, was arrested for the connection that he and Alex had to the suicide mission that Alex was involved in. This was not the only mess that Alex was in. Around this time, Alex Murdaugh was named by the chief defendant in the wrongful death lawsuit of Gloria Satterfield, and this was filed by Gloria's sons. And on the 20th of September, Connor Cook filed a lawsuit in Hampton County against Alex Murdaugh, his son, as well as Gregory M. Parker Incorporated, and Parker's employee, Tahisha Cohen, for their involvement in the boat crash in which Mallory Beach was killed. Amidst all of this, SLED stated that they had uncovered evidence during their investigation into the double homicide of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, in which it was found that Alex was involved in more criminal offenses than anticipated. On the 27th of September 2021, the sons of Gloria Satterfield demanded Alex be arrested until, and unless he pays them the settlement amount. Apart from focusing on past murders, the double homicide that took place on Alex's premises was also being looked into. While looking into this matter, his marriage was looked into and quite a few inconsistencies were sought. In fact, it was not only his marriage that was inconsistent, but also his finances. In fact, he was using his finances and assets in such a horrible way that on the 2nd of November 2021, a judge froze all his assets and backed his decision up with the fact that Alex was a part of ongoing wrongful death cases. After a tough few months of exposing quite a few wrongdoings, Alex was indicted on the 21st of January 2021 by the South Carolina State Grand Jury on 23 criminal charges that included the breach of trust as well as countless computer crimes. At this point in time, Alex had to pay a lot of people off, maybe in the form of bonds or just settlements. This forced him to sell his Colton County property, which was listed for $3.9 million. On the 7th of June 2022, it marked 1 year since his wife and son were murdered. However, no arrests were made. In fact, everything seemed to be working out fine for Alex, and the South Carolina Supreme Court even announced that they would be revoking Alex's license. But after a month after this, SLED informed the Murdaugh family members that they would be charging Alex Murdaugh in the deaths of his wife and son. Alex gets disbarred, and on the 14th of July, Alex is indicted on 2 counts of murder, one of his son and the other of his wife. Alex pleads not guilty, and his attorney, Dick Harpootlian, held a press conference as well as filed a motion in which he demanded to see the evidence against Alex in this double homicide investigation. Now for the trial. It was to start on the 30th of January 2023, so as to better fit with the judicial schedules that the South Carolina Attorney General's office is involved in. The jury selection began on the 23rd of January, following which the potential witness list was released. This was then followed by pre-trials. Various pieces of evidence were showcased, including body cam footage, the recordings of the 911 calls that were made to the police, as well as snippets of various interviews that were given by Alex to investigators. During this time, the judge was left to make a decision on whether Alex's long history of financial crimes was to be considered as a part of this murder trial. During the trial, it was revealed that Alex's apparel had traces of gunshot residue all over it. Longtime friend Nathan Tootin and longtime housekeeper Bianca Trubright Simpson were brought onto the podium to testify in this case. The pathologist added that the kind of gunshots they received was not defensive and was shot from a distance of 2 to 3 feet from them. Some of the latest improvements in the case involved Alex's son Buster taking the stand. As of now, his cross-examination still continues to proceed.